Hey guys, my name is Jonna McGar, and for anyone who knows me, they know that I love all things vintage. And so today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial in both Lightroom and Photoshop that shows you how you can create a soft, like faded, vintagey look to your photographs. So here you can see on your screen that I already have a photograph selected. This photograph is one I took this past Thanksgiving, just a week ago or so, in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, actually from a moving car, so it turned out pretty good. But the very first step in anybody's um, editing process is to choose your photograph, right? And so you want to choose the photograph obviously that you're going to edit, and then choose the edits that will best suit that photograph. And so for this vintage faded effect, you want to choose a photograph that has really good contrast, as well as a wide variety of tones. It could be black and white, and that's fine, but just a lot of different tones in there, so that when you add this faded look, that you still have a lot of depth and color and richness to the photo, even with that added kind of softness to the photo. So I'm going to go ahead. This is the final product. I've already edited this photograph, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the original. Now, the next step is to take your photograph and import it into whatever program you're going to use. And so in this case, we're using Lightroom, and I already imported my photos in. And then we need to, in Lightroom, always remember to go to the develop mode instead of in library, because library is just where your photos are stored, and the develop mode is where you could actually start editing your photograph. So we went ahead and went into develop mode, and then I'm going to come over here on the right hand side in this panel and go down to the tone curve panel. One thing you have to make sure when you come here is that it is in point curve mode. If it's not in point curve mode, mine is because I used it a little bit earlier for this actual edit, but if it's not, you can come over and click on this little square right here, and it will change it to point curve mode. And this will allow you to add a point on your curve where we can begin to get that faded look. So I'm going to go ahead and add a point down in the lower left-hand side of my curve, just by clicking right there. And then I'm going to come down here to this corner and grab the point there and just pull it straight up. And you can see, oh, there we go. You can see that it already started creating this kind of faded look. I'll pull it up a little bit more. Oh, see, and then this is something you want to make sure you don't do. So I added an extra point to the curve on accident. It kind of is acting as an anchor now, and making my curve all messed up and not what I want it to be. And so in that case, if something happens like that, it's not a big deal. Just use Command Z. That's my favorite shortcut ever, just to undo whatever you've done and go back to working as normal. I probably use that command on so many times every time I edit photos or anything like that. So, okay, so we're going to pull it up here a little bit more. Oh, I think I edited. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there we go. So you can see it's pretty faded. This photo, the exposure down here in the houses is a little bit too dark, and so that's something that I also am going to need to edit, and you can see in the final product that that's what I did. But we're going to go ahead and move on from here. So you see the faded effect that it added. The next thing we want to do is actually go to the split toning panel, and that's just a little bit farther down. Right here, and this is going to allow us to change the highlights and the shadows in this faded photograph, so that the photograph kind of has a different, richer look to it. So I'm going to go ahead and bump up. What I usually do is bump up the saturation slider first, so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm wanting to add, there we go, kind of a reddish tone to the highlights. Bring it here. Oh, there we go. So a reddish orangish tone. Again, we're going to have to bring up the color somewhere in here too. And then I'm going to come down here. So I've messed with the highlights a little bit, and I'm going to come down here and do the shadows. So bring the saturation up again on that so I can see what I'm doing. And you can see it's changing the color every time I pull the slider up. This one I want to do kind of a blue. So I'm going to bring it up here. Maybe a little bit more. Bring the saturation up. And you can see that it's changing it. So you can see already that it's getting better color in it just from changing that. Also, they have this cool balance slider. And the balance slider allows you to kind of change it from one, depending on which way you slide it, you can kind of choose a color preference. So like say I want more of the highlight showing, more of the red showing, I can bump it up this way, or if I want more of the blues and stuff, I can bring it down this way. So that's that. So you can see it's already changing quite a bit. The final thing for this photograph is I'm wanting to, as I said before, it's kind of dark down here and stuff like that, so there's other edits I'm going to want to do to refine it and to get it better. But specifically for this vintage faded effect, I typically like to bump up, or rather take out some of the shadows and bump up the highlights, because a lot of times the vintagey effect will make it look a little bit darker than you may want it. And of course, in order to retain the richness and the vibrant colors and stuff like that, you're going to want it to be a little bit lighter. And so here I'll just go ahead and pull, oops, my mouse is being weird. Pull out some of the shadows. See, already it's looking way better. And boost a little some of the highlights as well. So we see it starting to get lighter. It's kind of extreme, you might not want it that much, but and then also I like to boost the vibrance a little bit to just kind of finish it off. So it's still got that cool vintage faded effect, but you still also have those awesome rich colors behind it. And that's how you add that effect in Lightroom. And then we'll go over to Photoshop next.